There comes a moment in every woman's life where heaven leans low and begins to whisper secrets into her soul. It may not look like a celebration. Make no mistake, it's a spiritual announcement. A woman who is about to be blessed doesn't always feel like she's being elevated. In fact, often feels like the opposite. But listen to me, the shaking, the silence, the struggle, that's the sound of heaven preparing a delivery. You see, God is about to release something big. He doesn't send the promise first. He sends signs. And these signs are not always beautiful. They don't always show up with bows and bright lights. Sometimes they come as storms, sometimes as setbacks, sometimes as separation, but it's all divine indication. Let me talk to the woman who's been feeling unseen, unworthy, uncomfortable, and underestimated. Don't you dare think that God forgot about you. You've just been walking through the birthing canal of your breakthrough, and the labor pains you're feeling, they're a sign that something is about to be born. A blessing so big your past won't be able to contain your future. You've cried in silence. You've served with no applause. You've carried burdens like a warrior. But now God is showing you 7 prophetic signs that something is about to shift. If you've been wondering why life has gotten heavier, lonelier, or more intense, pay attention. These are not punishments, they are previews. Sudden isolation, God pulls you away to protect what He's planning. Unexplainable restlessness, that's not anxiety, that's your spirit waking up. People start leaving. Not everyone can stay where God is taking you. Doors close without warning, close or divine direction. New ideas stir in your heart. The blessing comes with fresh vision. Spiritual attacks increase. The enemy only fights what he fears. Your faith gets tested deeply because big blessings require strong roots. Your discomfort is not dysfunction, it's development. The woman you are becoming can't live in the patterns you're leaving. So don't despise the signs, discern them. Don't fear the storm, face it. Don't shrink in the silence, stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. Before the floodgates of heaven open, before the miracle manifests, before the doors swing wide in your favor, God always sends signs. But these signs are not always grand or glorious. They are not written in the clouds or shouted through a microphone. They often show up in the subtle shifts, the quiet discomforts, the sudden changes that make no sense to the natural mind, and yet they speak volumes in the spirit. Many women cry out for blessings. Few are trained to recognize the signs. And because the signs don't always look like favor, we often mistake them for failure. We beg for increase and then panic when pruning comes. We ask for purpose and get confused when patterns are disrupted. God is not a God of confusion. He is a God of preparation. And what you call chaos, He often calls construction. When God is about to bless a woman with something big, the heavens do not stay silent. They begin to stir. There's a shifting in the atmosphere. The same way the earth trembles before a mighty storm, the spiritual realm begins to move when destiny is on the horizon. If you are only looking with your natural eyes, you'll miss it. You'll call it a breakdown when it's actually a buildup. You'll name it a curse when it's actually a course correction. God never delivers destiny without giving you clues. He gives you spiritual indicators, divine whispers that say, "Daughter, get ready. I'm about to do something." But these whispers don't always come in comfort. Sometimes they come in isolation. Sometimes they come through rejection. Sometimes they show up in closed doors and uncomfortable stretching. But here, this discomfort is often the first sign of divine movement. Think of a woman in labor. Before the child is born, there is pain, there is pressure, there are signs. Her body shifts, her water breaks, contractions begin, and no doctor is needed to tell her that something is about to change because her body speaks the language of delivery. In the same way, when you are about to birth something in the spirit, your life begins to send signals. God sends signs not to scare you, but to prepare you. Some of you have been praying for God to enlarge your territory, and now you're wondering why the people around you are shrinking, why the phone calls have stopped, why the support has gone silent. But could it be that God is making room for the blessing? Could it be that the people leaving are not subtracting from your life, but subtracting the weight that would have held you back from your next level? Others are asking God for elevation, and now all you see is loss. The job is gone. The finances feel unstable. The routine you clung to has been interrupted. What if I told you that elevation often requires elimination? What if the things you lost were never meant to survive the blessing that's coming? Sometimes God has to clear the stage before he reveals the next act of your life. God is strategic. He doesn't waste a move. Every sign he sends is intentional. And while the enemy wants you to panic in transition, heaven wants you to pay attention, because signs are not punishments. They are divine announcements. They are God's way of saying, brace yourself. I'm about to release something over your life that will leave you changed forever. But to recognize the signs, you must be spiritually awake. You must learn to see beyond the surface. You have to stop looking at what's going wrong and start asking, what is God doing beneath this? You have to stop cursing the shift and start embracing the signal, because the signs aren't always pretty, but they are always purposeful. God may wake you up at 3 a.m. with a heavy burden on your heart. That's a sign. He may cause you to feel out of place in rooms that once made you feel safe. That's a sign. He may cause you to lose your taste for things that once fed your ego. That's a sign. He may stir in you a hunger for more, even when you can't explain what more is. That's a sign. And all of these are clues that something is breaking in the heavens on your behalf. You see, divine blessings require divine preparation. You cannot walk into your next with yesterday's mindset. You cannot carry a new mantle with an old mentality. So God will often begin the work in you before he blesses you around you. That's why the signs hit your emotions. That's why your thoughts are changing. That's why your desires are shifting. Because God is not just preparing a blessing for you. He's preparing you for the blessing. The size of the signs often reveals the size of the blessing. If you've been facing unusual warfare, unusual pressure, or unusual shifts, it may be because your next is not ordinary. It's big. It's weighty, it's generational. And anything that carries that much spiritual impact must be preceded by signs. Don't ignore the signs. Don't minimize them. Don't call them coincidence. You've been asking for confirmation, and God has been speaking in symbols. You've been waiting for a door to open. God has been testing your obedience in the hallway. You've been praying for rain, and God has been giving you clouds. But remember what the prophet said, I see the cloud the size of a man's hand, just a sign, but it meant a storm was coming. So don't get discouraged when things feel unfamiliar. Don't walk away because the signs don't look like you expected. Keep your spirit alert. Keep your faith strong. Keep your eyes open. There is a sacred season in every woman's life where the noise begins to die down, the crowd begins to fade, and the invitations stop coming. You look around and realize you are alone. The phone isn't ringing. The opportunity is slow to a crawl. The people you thought would walk with you to the next level have stopped showing up. And if you're not careful, you'll begin to believe the lie that says you've been rejected. You'll begin to question your worth, your voice, your calling. You'll begin to think that isolation is a punishment. But let me tell you something divine, something eternal. Isolation isn't rejection. It's preparation. God never prepares great women in public. He molds them in the shadows. He does his finest work behind closed doors. Because anything that is born of significance must be protected before it can be revealed. When God is about to raise up a woman for something big, care enough, the first thing he often does is separate her. He begins the process of holy detachment. He creates space between her and the noise of the world, between her and the people who are too familiar with her past to embrace her future. So if you find yourself in a place where the circle is shrinking, where your name is no longer celebrated, where the platform you once seems to be fading, don't panic enough. You are not being rejected by people. You are being selected by God. He is pulling you aside because there is something sacred growing inside of you. And it cannot be touched by everyone. There is a calling on your life that requires privacy before power. Think about the seed. Before it ever sees the light, care enough, it must first be buried. The soil becomes its secret sanctuary. It doesn't look glorious. It doesn't feel good. The seed is covered, hidden, isolated, and care enough. But it is in that hidden place that the seed is broken open. It's in that dark space that the roots go deep. Care enough. It's in that invisible chamber that the miracle begins to take shape. And woman of God, that's exactly where you are, not buried to die, but planted to rise. Isolation is not abandoned as alignment. It is God drawing you closer, removing distractions, stripping away attachments that cannot go with you where you are headed. It may look like you're losing, but in the spirit, you are gaining strength. Enough. Gaining insight, gaining clarity. You are being trained in silence. Your anointing is being refined in the stillness. Your discernment is being sharpened in solitude. The world is obsessed with platforms, but God is obsessed with process. Enough. The wilderness isn't the devil's domain. It's God's workshop. Moses had to go into the desert before he could deliver a nation. Care enough. Joseph had to go into the pit before he could reach the palace. David was in the field, tending sheep alone, before he was ever anointed as king. Care enough. And Jesus himself had to withdraw from the crowds, often rising early to be alone with the Father, because isolation is where power is renewed. Care enough. You must understand that the greater the call and the deeper the consecration. And consecration doesn't begin on stages. It begins in solitude. Care enough. God isolates you because he wants to talk to you without interruption. He wants to reveal strategies to you without the opinions of the crowd. Care enough. He wants to grow your character without the applause. He wants to develop your voice without the noise of competition. So don't resent the quiet seasons. Don't curse the silence. Don't let loneliness lie to you. You are not forgotten. You are not overlooked. You are not being punished enough. You are being pulled into purpose. And yes, it may hurt. Yes, it may be confusing. Yes, you may long for connection. But understand this, intimacy with God always precedes impact for God. And if he has called you apart, it's because he is preparing something within you that the world isn't ready for yet. Sometimes isolation is the only place where God can detox your soul. Care enough. He uses the stillness to remove the lies you believed about yourself. He uses the silence to help you hear your own voice again. He uses the space to untangle your identity from the expectations of others. Because when he brings you back into the light, you cannot waver. You cannot doubt. You cannot shrink. You have to know who you are and whose you are. And that knowing only comes through being alone with him. There are things God whispers to you in isolation that he will never say in a crowd. There are levels of healing that only happen when you step away and care enough. There is a depth of anointing that can only be developed in the secret place. And when that work is complete, when the oil has been pressed out of your pain, care enough, when your voice has been shaped by the Spirit, when your identity has been anchored in truth, then and only then will God reveal you. And when he does, care enough. The people who thought you were being rejected will have no choice but to recognize you were being refined. And those who assumed you were will see that you were being washed clean. The ones who left you in the valley will watch you rise to the mountain. Not because of your popularity, because of your preparation. You will come forth like gold, not better, not broken, but blessed. Not empty, overflowing. And the beauty of it all is this: you won't even have to explain yourself. Your fruit will speak for you. Your strength will be undeniable. Care enough. Your presence will carry the weight of glory, not because the crowd that cheers for you, but because of the God who prepared you in the silence. So woman of God, wipe your tears. Lift your head. Breathe in the peace of your hidden season. You are not alone. Heaven is watching. Angels are assigned. Care enough. And God is closer now than ever. He is preparing you for something you cannot even imagine. Something eyes haven't seen. Something ears haven't heard. Care enough. Something that's been hidden just for you. When a woman is on the edge of her greatest blessing, the atmosphere around her will begin to change. Not in peace. Care enough. Not in comfort. Not in calm, but in chaos. All of a sudden, things start falling apart. People act out of character. Emotions run high. Fear creeps in. Care enough. Confusion clouds the mind. It may feel like life is spinning out of control, but in the spirit realm, it's not chaos. It's a clue. I tell enough, and Karen, it's not an accident, it's an alarm. You're not under random attack. You're on the verge of breakthrough. Anchor enough, because whenever heaven is about to deliver something powerful, hell gets nervous and warfare intensifies. You've been wondering why your sleep is broken, why your thoughts feel heavy, why people you love are suddenly turning against you, why there's tension in the atmosphere. Let me tell you why. It's not just emotional, it's spiritual. You are under surveillance by the enemy because what's inside of you poses a threat to the kingdom of darkness. Care enough. You are carrying purpose. You are moving into position. You are growing, shifting, elevating. And the enemy knows he can't stop what God has already approved. So what does he do? He sends warfare. And let me tell you something about spiritual warfare. It doesn't knock politely. It barges in. It shakes the foundation. It attacks the mind. It stirs up the past. It whispers lies that echo loudly. And just when you think you're past it, another wave comes. Fair enough, but don't misinterpret the storm. Don't assume the attack means God has left you. On the contrary, it means God is about to launch you. Enough. That attack didn't come because you're weak. It came, you're close. The enemy does not waste ammunition on people going nowhere. He saves his heaviest artillery the moments where you're closest to destiny, because the enemy is not omniscient, but he can sense movement and care enough. He can feel momentum. And when your spirit starts getting aligned with heaven's timing, when your prayers start shaking the atmosphere, and care enough, when your obedience starts irritating hell, that's when the enemy intensifies the battle. You're not being punished. You're being pressured into power. And this pressure doesn't mean the end. It's the signal that something is about to break. When a woman is in labor, the pain doesn't increase the closer she gets to birth. It intensifies. Her body pushes harder. Her muscles tighten. The contractions come faster and stronger. That's not because something's wrong. It's because the baby is almost here. And spiritually, it works the same way. When your breakthrough is crowning, care enough, warfare kicks into overdrive. This is why you feel exhausted, why your emotions are raw, why you're questioning yourself, why the voices of doubt feel louder than ever. The enemy isn't fighting you now. He's terrified of your next. And care enough. And the only thing he can hope to do is wear you down enough to make you quit before you see what God has already prepared for you. And care enough. But what he didn't account for is that you've been battle tested. You've walked through fire and came out with faith. Care enough. You've cried tears that became intercession. You've stood in the dark and still held onto your promise. Yes, the warfare is real. I care enough, but so is the anointing that's coming out of it. You see, warfare isn't just a fight. It's a forge. God is using the very thing sent us ready to develop you. Every dart lay live, every betrayal, every spiritual blow. It's refining your discernment. And care enough. It's strengthening your prayer life. It's teaching your hands to war and your heart to trust. You're learning how to fight without bitterness, how to worship with wounds, how to praise when you don't have answers. Don't curse the warfare. Understand it. It is not a sign of weakness. It is a signal of transition. You are stepping out of who you were and stepping into who you were destined to be. And just like a snake sheds its skin, care enough. The process is uncomfortable. Old has to fall off. The mindset has to shift. The fear has to die. The weight has to drop. Enough. That's why the attack feels personal, because it is. The enemy knows what you're stepping into. He sees you are no longer content in Egypt. He sees you're no longer addicted to approval. He sees you're no longer defined by what broke you. And so he strikes. But let me declare this over Yug. Enough. The attack will not win. The enemy is not sovereign. He can attack, but he cannot cancel. He can distract, but he cannot destroy. Care enough, because no weapon formed against you shall prosper. The storm may come, but it will pass. The fire may rage, but you will rise. You were built for battle. Ellen, care enough. You were designed for destiny. And if God brought you to this moment, he has already given you what you need to survive it. Enough. You don't need to figure everything out right now. You just need to stand. Stand in your truth. Stand in your calling. Stand in your authority. Stand in your word. Stand in your faith. Because sometimes the breakthrough doesn't come from fighting. It comes from not folding. The enemy's greatest fear is a woman who refuses to bow, even in the midst of the fire. And here's the truth. Breakthrough is not just about what you receive, but about you become. This season of warfare is birthing a new version of you. A woman who prays without ceasing. A woman who sees in the spirit. A woman who walks with confidence. A woman who carries oil. A woman who can cast down lies and lift up truth. Care enough. A woman who doesn't need the world's validation because she's already approved by heaven. So let hell rage. Let the enemy do what he does. Let the attacks come. But you keep your armor on. You stay rooted in the word. You plead the blood of Jesus. You speak life. You cancel every curse. You stand tall in the fire because the fourth man is with you. And when this storm passes, you will come out not burned, blessed, not broken, but bold, not weakened, but anointed. Spiritual warfare is a reality, but so is spiritual victory, and yours is coming. The warfare is intense because the release is imminent. You are closer than you've ever been. You are stepping into something bigger than you imagined. So don't back down. Don't quit. Don't fold. There is a holy frustration that comes when a door you prayed for, fasted for, believed for, suddenly slams shut. It doesn't knock gently. It doesn't whisper a warning. It shuts firm, final, and without explanation. In that moment, your faith trembles. You ask God, why would you lead me here just to lock me out? Why let me hope, only to hand me disappointment? We serve a God who sees what we don't, who knows what we can't, who looks into the future and guides us with wisdom, convenience, and because he's sovereign, he will sometimes let the door you want remain closed so he can lead you to the door you actually need. The denial isn't punishment. It's protection. The no isn't cruel. It's a course correction. And the sooner you stop staring at what didn't open, sooner you'll see what is being unlocked before you. You may be thinking, but I thought this was it. You had peace. You had alignment. You had confirmation, or so you thought. But faith doesn't mean familiarity. And just because something looked good doesn't mean it was God. You can pray for an opportunity and still not be prepared for the outcome of that yes. So sometimes in his mercy, God says no, not because you're not worthy, because the room behind that door would have crushed what he's cultivating inside of you. And listen, God doesn't waste movement. He allowed the door to close. It was deliberate. He shut it before it could delay you. He ended it before it could empty you. He said no before it could destroy what he put in you, because purpose isn't always built on the path of your preferences. Sometimes it's born in the frustration of detours. Let's be honest, closed doors hurt. They confuse. They shake your faith, especially when the door felt custom made for you. The relationship, the job, the ministry, the partnership, the home. You walked up to it with full confidence, only to hear silence, or worse, a flat no. And in that moment, it's easy to think you've misheard God. What if I told you that closed doors are sometimes the clearest direction you'll ever receive? When God closes a door, he often doesn't explain. He simply redirects. He doesn't always give you a full map, just enough light for the next step. But it's in that step that purpose unfolds. Closed doors train your discernment. They mature your vision. They force you to seek the face of God, not just the hand of God. They separate what's good from what's God ordained. And don't confuse delay with denial. Just because a door is closed now doesn't mean it's closed forever. Some doors are closed because the timing is off. You're ready in heart, but not yet in maturity. You have passion, but not yet precision. God will sometimes keep the door locked, not because the blessing is denied, but because he's developing you so you don't squander what's on the other side of it. Think of Joseph. He had a dream, one that looked like immediate elevation, but instead he faced betrayal, slavery, false accusation, and prison. Doors kept closing. Every door that shut behind him was a hallway that led to the palace. Had he stayed in comfort, he would have missed the call. Had the door to his father's house not closed, Egypt would have never known his name. Closed doors didn't block his purpose. They birthed it. Or take Ruth. Her husband died. Her future seemed finished. But the door that closed in Moab redirected her to Bethlehem. The very field where destiny was waiting. The field of bows. The door of loss swung open into a gate of legacy. She became part of the lineage of the Messiah. If the door of her comfort hadn't closed, she would have never stepped into her calling. This is how God moves. He leads through what closes just as much as he does through what opens. And the danger is when you keep trying to force what God has already shut. Some of us are bruised not because of what the enemy did, because we kept throwing ourselves against a door that heaven already locked. You kept texting, kept reaching, kept begging, kept reapplying. Door kept saying no, not to harm you, but to heal you from what you can't yet see. Because sometimes door you want opens into a room of distraction, of delay, of detour, and a loving Father knows when to say, not this one. He knows what will drain you, what will distract you, what will deter you from the purpose you were created for. He loves you too much to let you walk blindly into what looks promising but leads to pain. You see, purpose doesn't always walk through the doors you expect. Sometimes it comes through the door you never noticed, the one you walked past, the one that looked too small. That couldn't be it. But God is a master of using the unexpected. Take you through the back door to show you that favor was never about flashy entrances. It was about faithful obedience. So the next time a door closes, panic, praise. Don't pout. Posture yourself in prayer. Ask God not just to open what you want, but to align you with what he has appointed. Ask him to close any door, no matter how beautiful it looks, if it's not tied to your purpose. Trust his no. His redirection is proof of his protection. And if you can stop mourning over what didn't open long enough to look up, you'll see a new door just ahead. One tailor-made, one no man can shut. One that leads not to temporary applause, but eternal assignment. Before the world ever sees the change, before people ever recognize the shift, before the fruit ever blossoms on the branches, God begins the work within, not on the stage, not in the spotlight, not through applause or accolades. No. The transformation begins in the quiet chambers of the soul, in the secret battles that no one claps for, in the decisions you make when no one is watching. The transformation begins within first. We live in a world that obsesses over the outside. We chase appearances. We crave validation. We try to change our environment, our relationships, our jobs, our social circles, thinking that if we rearrange the outside, something on the inside will finally feel whole. But God doesn't work from the outside in. He transforms from the inside out. If your internal life doesn't shift, your external life will always go in circles. Because wherever you go, you take you with you. The most powerful breakthrough is not a promotion, not a new house, not a title. It's a renewed mind. It's a healed heart. It's a delivered soul. That's where God begins his masterpiece. Not in places, but in people. Not in buildings, but in the inner being of the woman he's called and chosen. Don't be fooled. Real transformation is messy. It starts in pain. It gets uncomfortable. Because the truth is, before God elevates you publicly, he will excavate you privately. He'll dig deep, pull up roots of bitterness, break old patterns, and confront lies you've lived under for years. You'll begin to lose your taste for things that once satisfied you. You'll stop laughing at things that used to make you giggle. You'll find yourself craving silence more than noise, stillness more than chaos, truth more than popularity. That's not depression. That's divine development. God begins to peel back the layers, not to shame you, but to shape you. He exposes what's been hiding under the surface, insecurities, fears, ego, pride, trauma, not to destroy you, but to deliver you. Because he cannot bless who you pretend to be. He blesses the real you, the raw you, the surrendered you. And when he begins that internal transformation, it can feel like your world is falling apart. You'll start losing interest in conversations that lack depth. Your circle may get smaller. The things that once gave you comfort might start to feel shallow. That's because God is upgrading your spirit, and when your spirit elevates, your atmosphere must shift. You might not see it right away. There may not be any outward evidence, but deep down, something is stirring. Something is healing. Something is being rebuilt. You're not where you want to be yet, but you're also not where you used to be. And that in-between space, that's sacred. That's holy ground. That's the proving ground for transformation. We love the word. breakthrough. But real breakthrough starts beneath the skin. A woman who has truly been transformed doesn't need to announce it. Her presence speaks. Her energy is different. Her perspective is elevated. She no longer reacts from the same broken place. She no longer chases the same things. She doesn't need validation because she walks in revelation. She doesn't have to beg for love because she's learned how to receive it from God first. You may be in a season where you feel like nothing is happening. You're not getting the calls. The doors aren't opening. The results seem slow. But what if I told you that this is the most important season of your life? Because what God is doing in you is preparing you for